Hello, I'm here at the Lausitzring to find out how you turn a Cayman GT4 into a racing car. Now it helps that the Cayman GT4 is built by the same blokes who build Porsche's customer race cars, so that is a very sound foundation from which to start. But let's just remind ourselves of what goes into a Cayman GT4. It is, of course, a 6-cylinder Cayman. The new ones are now 4-cylinder turbo, so that's a big emotional difference. It has the front axle from a GT3, that's cool. It has also some GT3 style bodywork. Inside is the main thing, which is the 3.8 litre Carrera engine, 385 horsepower. Manual gearbox, that is one of the main exciting factors about the Cayman GT4. It's one of the things we made a huge fuss about when it came out and have enjoyed on the road. Now, other features that make this ready for the track as it comes, we've got an adjustable rear wing at the back. We've got some little things we can pull out of the bumper to increase the downforce, so we can vary the downforce even on the road car. We can change the anti-roll bar settings, front and rear, so you've got 3 steps, front and rear. It's apparently about a 10-minute job to fiddle about with that. So even as a road car, it's already quite well set up for the track. Before we graduate to driving the GT4 Club Sport, we're going to do a couple of familiarisation laps in the road car first. So I'm going to go and do that and see how I get on. So there we go, that is 3 laps of the Lausitzring in a standard road-going Cayman GT4, and very good fun it was too. Love the manual gearbox, love the rawness of this car. It's a really, really fun car to drive on a track, but as we're about to find out, turning it into a racing car involves quite a lot of work, more than you might expect. First thing I need to do though is get suited up and ready. Now I'm suitably attired, I think, for my drive in the Cayman GT4 Club Sport. Before I go out on track, let me just talk around a few of the features in this car. So what you get is obviously a fully prepared race car. It is not road legal. It is, for starters, about 40 kilos lighter than a road car. It's got the same basic engine and power output and things like that, but obviously there are some fairly major changes to make it ready for the track. One thing you'll notice is it has steel brakes and some different KW here dampers on it. That's all part of the package. You can't get ceramic brakes for the race car, that's for reasons of cost and also just general reliability. One of the major differences between this and the road car is its PDK. Yes, the whole big point about the Cayman GT4 road car was that it was manual, but for the race car they've gone for a 6-speed PDK. It's basically a 7-speed PDK from the Carrera with 7th gear blanked off. It is paddle operated. We'll have to see how that goes on the track, but that's obviously quite a big philosophical difference between this and the road car. Coming round to the back, we have a rather nice big carbon fibre wing, again adjustable like the road car. One of the other changes is that the race car uses 18-inch wheels rather than the 20s of the road car. I think that gives rather a nice look actually. A bit more sidewall in the tyres. I think it's a bit more old school motorsport. I like the look of that. Overall then, this is ready to hit the track. Am I? Yeah, I think I about am. So let's go for a drive. Right, so that's the first go in the GT4 Club Sport, and it's really interesting actually to compare with the road car. In the standard car I noticed that they'd gone for the fairly safe option with the anti-roll bar, so that's middle, front and back. And there was a little bit of understeer in that car. You could feel in some of the slower corners in particular. In this car it feels a lot more planted. Obviously we've got slick tyres, that makes a massive difference. Once they're warmed up you can lean on them so hard. This car's quite a sharp setup as well. It does actually move around quite a bit over when you're switching from the infield to the banking, things like that. It feels quite lively, but it's still, it's a car for gentleman racers, so it's set up to be quite safe. You do have stability control, switchable ABS, 12 modes. That's set in its comfort mode for the slicks on a dry track like we had there. You've got air conditioning here in this disembodied unit here, familiar from the road car, but now the rest of the car's gone. It's really very easy to drive. I should of course talk about the PDK gearbox. That is absolutely seamless. It's like we've got accustomed to on the road cars really. It just flip the pedals and it goes. There's absolutely no jerk in the car when you change gear at all, so you can do it even when you're fully loaded up into the banking and things like that. The car, you can flick up and down the gears as and when you like really. You can also obviously left foot brake much more easily, so that helps you balance the car into the corners and play around with it a bit more. Mega piece of kit. I'm very interested to see how much more the MR package adds. Right, the final step in the Cayman GT4 Club Sport lineup is this, the MR, which stands for Manthey Racing, a name familiar to anybody who's ever watched Nürburgring 24 Hour or any of the VLN races, obviously experts in that field. This car has been set up to drive on the Nürburgring, so it's got a very different suspension setup from the standard Club Sport, a much fancier suspension setup. It's got, one of the things that you get with the MR package are these KW dampers, which have a much wider range of adjustment than the shocks on that car over there. That's one of the major differences. Overall, this package adds, pricing's not been confirmed for the UK yet, but in euros it's about another 30,000 euros over the standard Club Sport. So quite a big step up, but as I say, you save about 40 kilos. You get things like these Perspex side windows. There's a Perspex screen on the front as well. That saves quite a bit of weight high up in the car, which is good. Ironically, you might then have to add it to get the balance performance, but at least then that's lead weight's lower in the car, so you've got the better centre of gravity. You'll notice 5 stud hubs, not centre locks. That apparently also saves weight, and most of the series that these cars compete in don't have timed pit stops, so they've stuck with the 5 stud hubs. What else can I tell you? Quick filling fuel tank. Basically, this car is set up and ready to race at the Nürburgring or anywhere else your fancies take you. There we go, that is the top of the Cayman GT4 Club Sport range, the MR. How does it differ from the standard Club Sport? Well, around here, the softer Nürburgring suspension and the fancier dampers made it feel much more composed. It was softer, yes, there was a bit of roll in the car, but it could just deal with the bumps, you could get on the power earlier. Big difference I noticed was that the brake is not servo, so you need to lean on the brake pedal much harder than you do in the Club Sport. That was interesting in the first corner, I have to say. Got to the first corner, oh no, not so much braking power there, just lean harder basically. Overall, it's got the same kind of friendliness as the standard Club Sport, but it's just that little bit sharper, that little bit more ready to race.